The four easternmost provinces of Canada are collectively known as the Atlantic or the Maritime Provinces because of their proximity and relationship to the sea. They include Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. It was to this province that Vikings came from their colonies in Greenland more than 1,000 years ago. They came to trade with the Inuit for walrus ivory, a big currency for the Norse in Europe, and because they needed wood from the forests of Labrador to build farms and ships. Evidence of the Vikings' presence has been found in the far north of Newfoundland at L'Anse aux Meadows.
It's the only authenticated Viking settlement in North America. And also on the site we have the remains of 8 buildings. Also on the site we have 4 reconstructed sod buildings. We have the longhouse and a workshop and a smithy and a storage building, whereby people can go in these houses and see what the actual remains would have looked like 1,000 years ago.
500 years later, when the 15th century Italian explorer Giovanni Caboto, better known as John Cabot, made his so-called discovery of Newfoundland, he was probably following the instructions of many who had sailed before him. But he discovered something that was of extreme importance to Europe at that time.
They say that Cabot's men went back stating that there was so much fish in the waters that they found it difficult to navigate. Now, the big question comes up, is fish big deal? What was so important about fish? But if you went back to the grocery bills of the day, you would find that more was paid for dried salt cod than for any other commodity. And the other thing to remember is that it wasn't just the English, it was the French and the Spanish and the Dutch and Portuguese who also discovered this fishery. By 1525, there were so many ships in St. John's Harbour that Captain John Rutt wrote a letter to King Henry to say, there are ships here of all nations. If you don't soon send an official settlement to this place, you're going to lose your hold on the Newfoundland.
In 1527, the Bute family arrived to settle St. John's, which became the capital of Newfoundland and makes it the oldest community in North America. Just outside the harbor, Cape Spear is the most easterly point of land in North America. On the west coast is Gros Morne National Park, with its coastal lowlands bordering the Gulf of St. Lawrence and an alpine plateau in the Long Range Mountains.
The rocks in Gros Morne are as old as 600 million years. There's lots of evidence of ancient volcanoes, and there's also ancient seas have been here, so wonderful place for fossils.
And the geological features create different ecological zones.
We have the tablelands, which are peridotite. It's effectively that part of the continent that's normally in contact with molten lava flipped upside down.
The Long Range Mountains form the backbone of a peninsula that juts into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and places the northeast tip of Newfoundland opposite Labrador, across the Strait of Belle-Île.
This is a great spot for icebergs, and this is the tip of what they call Iceberg Alley. It's where all the icebergs come down the coast of Labrador and then spread out along the north and east coast of Newfoundland, and we're at the top of that. So the icebergs stay here long into the season.
This impressive mountain of fresh water is just one small chunk off the massive glaciers from Greenland and the Arctic. What you see is only 1/10 of what's beneath the surface, a factor in the tragic sinking of the Titanic. It's not easy trying to navigate through icebergs, islands, and the rocky shores of Newfoundland and Labrador. The total area of the province is 372,000 square kilometers. Major industries include fishing, forestry, mining, and oil.